2018 Spider-Man was one of the greatest superhero games of all time. There's no debate. Insomniac Games blew us away. I mean, an open-world Spider-Man adventure, it told a unique story. It perfectly adapted the character's universe from the comics straight to the game world. Plus, Insomniac catered to Spidey fans everybody. We had a plethora of costumes that spanned the entire history of the franchise and the character. They then followed up in 2020 with Spider-Man Miles Morales, a standalone sequel that may not have had the same impact in the story department, but it featured a ton of additional gameplay possibilities, even if the framework, well, it was copy-pasted from the first game. Welcome to Video Game Leaks, everybody. Today, I have some huge news. News in regards to Spider-Man 2 being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yep. Now, Spider-Man 2 was announced last year with a trailer that confirmed a lot of things. We have the Iron Spider suit, fan favorite character Venom's going to make a major appearance, likely as a main villain, I would think. And over the months, there have been a lot of leaks regarding the next Spider-Man game, as it's still rather unclear when exactly the game will launch. And in the era of constant delays and cancellations, people are worried. But fear not. Fear not, guys. We have you covered. That's what we cover here on Video Game Leaks. All gaming leaks and rumors. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you do the little magic wizardry stuff with the notifications so you get all notifications. You guys are doing great with that. And we've got some interesting news to shed some light on what to expect from the upcoming Spider-Man game and possibly make everything surrounding the game even more hype. That's right. We're a hype channel at times, and this is a hype video. Now, the first Spider-Man game featured a brand new universe. It's never been seen before. It offered up new versions of characters we all know and love. Who's your favorite villain in the Spider-Man universe? What's your favorite Spider-Man suit? I mean, it pulled a lot of influence from various movie and comic interpretations of the character, but Insomniac Spider-Man, it was its own universe. Officially referred to as Earth 1048. That's right. Now, this is likely also going to be the universe that Insomniac's Wolverine game will take place in, but that's a video for another day, which we will be doing. The game is also heavily influenced by Sony as their own Insomniac games, as well as the movie rights to Spider-Man. Now, this is where there have been countless controversies surrounding Spidey appearing in the MCU. Now, why movies like Venom and Morbius, praise be to Morbius' name, take place in their own little bubble, okay? That bubble has gotten particularly murky over the last few years. The end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, spoiler alert, showed that Tom Holland's Spider-Man does exist in the Sony universe, and at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, spoiler alert, it brought Venom into the MCU for the first and so far only time. Now, Morbius, it muddied the waters up even more. We had an appearance of Adrian Toomes from the MCU, as well as brief references to the Amazing Spider-Man's version of Oscorp. Needless to say, Sony's been making things a little confusing. So why do I bring all this up? This is not a Chaos Multiverse video. It's a Video Game Leaks video. Why are we talking about movies in a video about games? Well, I have a theory, my friends. It was revealed very recently that Insomniac Games have hired Davidson Carvalho as their new art director for Spider-Man 2, replacing the original game's duo Grant Hollis and Gavin Goulden. It's reported that Hollis and Goulden have moved on to work on Wolverine, and Insomniac has handed art directing duties for the upcoming Spider-Man sequel to Carvalho. Why is this big news? Because Davidson was the concept artist for Avengers Endgame and Thor Love and Thunder. He has the experience working on giant superhero projects. Endgame is about as big as you're going to get, at least right now, and he knows how to bring tons of characters together for emotional showdown. So let me give you a theory here and see if you're on board with me. I think Sony is going to try Spider-Man 2 in the MCU. Now, before you start disliking the video, let me explain. The two main villains from Spider-Man 2 are believed to be Venom and Kraven the Hunter. As you know, Venom has already had two financially successful movies in the Sonyverse, and Kraven the Hunter is going to get his own release next year. You'll also remember that Sony has recently been making some pretty obvious pushes to get their Sonyverse associated with the much more popular and marketable MCU. Now, aside from Into the Spider-Verse, Sony's non-MCU movies haven't been very good. Venom movies, they're fun to watch. Morbius movie got some good memes out in the world, but they're not critical smashes like the MCU is. Sony knows that. They know they're probably not going to reach the same heights as the MCU without tying themselves into it, and that is where you can start to increase your MCU references. Sony movies. Venom 2, it broke the internet with the reveal of Tom Holland's Spider-Man existing in the franchise. The reveal of Toomes and Morbius did a similar thing. Sony knows they can make a ton of money and get a ton of free pub by loosely tying their movies to the MCU and teasing a crossover, but what if they were doing that with their games? Sony's Spider-Man game takes place in its own universe, but Spider-Man 2 is starring two of Sony's big screen characters. Like I said, Venom already has 2 movies under his belt. Third one on the way. Kraven the Hunter, about to make his cinema debut. It's pretty obvious that Sony has heavy creative input on games that they fund, so what if they're intentionally using Sony's big screen characters in the new game because they have bigger plans? I have a theory that Spider-Man 2 is actually going to find a way to tie itself into the MCU's multiverse, and Sony will then use it as another footstep to the MCU's level of popularity. Now, with the recent hiring of someone who worked on Avengers Endgame, it's clear Insomniac has some big ambitions for Spider-Man 2, and it's going to be a huge game. Then when you factor in that Kraven the Hunter and Venom are looking like the two main villains, then you factor in that Sony is footing the bill for the game, then you factor in the fact that Kraven and Venom are parts of the Sony movieverse, and then you factor in that Sony's movieverse is officially tied to the MCU, you start to see the map I'm drawing here. All it takes is a simple reference to one of the movies in the script or hidden around the open world, and Sony would then be able to say the game is part of the MCU. And you can imagine all the extra pub and day one sales that Spider-Man 2 will get if it's rumored to be part of the MCU. Sony doesn't even have to confirm or deny that the game is part of it. They just have to get the rumor started. I mean, sure, we might be doing their job for them with this video, but you can imagine if that's where we're about to go. Are we really going to have a multiverse that spans across movies, TV shows, and video games? I hope so. Does this set the stage for more MCU video properties in the future? Maybe even MCU games from Insomniac in the future? I think we are now officially in the world of wild speculation, but you can't tell me it's not impossible. Nobody would have thought Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire would ever don the Spider-Man suits again, yet there they were. Nobody ever thought Charles Xavier would come back, yet there he was in his big floaty yellow wheelchair. Maybe his recent hiring of the ex-MCU worker means nothing. Maybe it's a total coincidence. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. But you can't deny that it would be absolutely awesome to have Spider-Man 2 in the MCU. Having an official MCU connection in the world of video games would be an amazing possibility for the future. It would open up so many doors for superhero games in the future, and as complicated as this timeline might get, I'm 100% down for it. Let me know what you guys think. This could be the beginning of other things. Think about the evolution and the constant evolution of Fortnite and all the crossovers they do with Star Wars and Marvel and you name it. What if these video games started tying to the actual MCU? What if they were part of the bigger picture and you got to play through that? It would make you feel like you're interacting with the story arc of the MCU as it fleshes out. That's pretty cool. Let me know what you guys think. I'll keep you posted if we get any more news. It's only a theory right now, but if we come back in a year or two and it was right, woo, we're on a roll, my friends. I'll see you soon.